Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm sure after watching previous video of creating arrays, you guys have now understood three different ways in which we can create arrays in Python language. Now moving forward, after creating arrays, we are supposed to perform different operations on arrays and see how it works. So the first operation is insertion. Now insertion means putting an element inside the array. Now there can be three different cases while inserting anything inside an array. So the first, we can insert a single element inside the array. Secondly, we can insert a particular section or a part inside the array. And thirdly, we can insert an entire array into an existing array. So these are the three different cases in which we can insert something inside the array. Now let's talk about all of them one by one. So first, let's talk about inserting a particular element inside the array. So let's consider an array of 4 elements 10, 7, 34 and 49, and the indices starts from 0 and ends at 3. Now let's say we need to insert an element 100 at index 2. Now by looking at the existing array, there is already an element 34 located at index 2. But we need not to replace it. We are supposed to insert new element 100 at position 2. So for that, we need to create a space at index 2. So for doing that, we need to shift all the elements to the right of the position 2 by 1, making a space vacant at position 2, and finally we can insert 100 at position 2. So this is how you can insert any element at any position inside the array. Now let's implement this in Python language. So let's now get into the code editor. So here we are going to perform insertion operation. Let's say we have an array of 5 elements which we have stored in the ARR variable, and we have simply printed that variable. So we can see that our array has got created. Now put in the comment section that which way I have used to create an array by simply referring the previous video. Now let's say we need to insert an element at position 2. Now you can see that in the existing array at position 2, we already have an element 455. Make sure that while insertion, you are not at all replacing that element. So now for insertion, we are going to use the concept of indices. So after seeing the animations, I hope you have got an idea about we are not going to touch the left elements to the position which is concerned. So here the position into which we need to insert the element is 2. So to the left of it, whatever number of elements are present, we are not going to deal with that. So we will keep it as it is. So hence ARR of 0 to 2, which is nothing but it will take the first and second element at position 0 and 1 respectively, excluding 2. Then we are going to join the new element which is 10 at the position 2, which will be in the form of array, hence we are enclosing it in square brackets, and then we are concatenating it with the rest of the array, which is nothing but 3 onwards. So this is how we are joining the new array and storing it in the variable ARR, and after printing it, we can see that the element 10 has got inserted successfully at position 2. This is how we can insert element using the concept of indices. Now let's have a look at another way of inserting an element inside the array, which is by using a built-in function which is present inside Python language. So there is a function named insert, which will automatically insert any element at any position inside the array. So the insert function is associated inside the variable in which we have stored the array. So we can call it by simply saying array dot insert function. Since ARR variable has stored the array which we have defined earlier, therefore we can call the insert function using the variable ARR. Now you can see the documentation of this function. It says that it takes the first parameter as the index into which you need to insert the element, and the second parameter will be the element which you need to insert. So we need to insert 1000 element at position 4. So you can see that the cell has got executed successfully, and after printing the ARR variable we can see that the element is inserted successfully at position 4. So this is the second way of inserting an element inside the array. Moving forward, we will now look into another case for insertion in arrays. So here we are going to see how to insert a particular section inside the array. A section can be a group of elements. So here we have the existing array of 4 elements into which we are going to insert the section of 2 elements at position 2. So just remember, whenever you are going to insert a section, you need to first traverse to this section one by one and insert one element at a time at that position. So first we will make a vacant position for first element of the section inside the array at position 2. So now we will insert the element 100 at position 2 by shifting the other elements to the right of it by one position. Now the section to be inserted contains only one element. So now we need to make one more vacant position after the previous element which we have inserted from the section. Previously we have inserted the element 100 at position 2, so immediately next to it at position 3 we need to make a vacant position. For that we need to shift the other elements to the right of it by one position, making a vacant place, and then we can put the element from the section inside the array at position 3. So you can see now the entire section has now got inserted at position 2. So now let's implement this in Python language. So now here we are going to see the insertion of a section inside the array. So for that we need an existing array. So here we are going to make an array of 5 integers and store it in the variable ARR. So we'll also define the section to be inserted, which we will store in the variable section. So let's say we need to insert a section of 4 elements inside the variable ARR at a defined position. Now let's say we need to insert the section at position 2. Now already we are having the element 30 at position 2. Make a note that we are not going to put the entire section at a single position. We are going to put the section one by one after that position onwards. So we can do that with the help of the indices concept. So you can see that in Python we have the concept of slicing. We are going to use that. So we can store the new array inside the ARR variable itself by simply keeping the first 2 elements, that is ARR of 0 to 2 as it is, excluding the second element, and then we are going to insert the section by simply concatenating it with the variable section and the rest of the element concatenated as it is, which is 2 onwards. So let's execute this cell, and it has got executed successfully. Now let's print the ARR variable and see whether our array is created or not. So you can see that the section has now got inserted successfully from position 2 onwards. Here we have used 2 concepts, first slicing and second the concatenation. Now let's see another way to insert a section inside the array, which is by using the built-in function which is present inside the Python language. We already have seen this built-in function, which is nothing but insert. So we are going to loop through the section one by one, and we are going to insert each element of the section into the array at that specified position. So for looping, we are going to use for loop. So as seen in the previous example, we looped through the section one by one. So here we are going to loop the section variable and store each value in the variable I, and then we are going to insert the element with the help of the built-in insert function, which is associated inside the Python arrays, by simply calling the function and then specifying the location as the first parameter, which is position 2, and then we are going to put the element which is stored in the variable I. Now pause the video and tell me what bug is there inside this code. Now we can see that the insert function contains the number 2, which will replace the previous element with the new element. So our array will not contain all the elements from the section, it will only contain the last element of that section. So to avoid that, we will create a variable counter of position 2, and then we are going to increment the counter after entire loop. So this is how we can insert the section inside the array. So the first element will be inserted at position 2, then the counter will increment, and the second element will be inserted at the next counter, and so on. So this is how it can be inserted. So I hope you have got an idea of inserting a section inside the array. Now moving forward, we will now look into another concept of joining two arrays, which comes under insertion itself. So let's say here we have the first array of 4 elements starting with index 0, ending with index 3. And then we have our second array, which is of 3 elements. So here we have our 2 arrays. Now our task is to join these 2 arrays. So while visualizing or seeing the animations, you can simply attach them and make it into a single array. Something like this. It's simple, right? We have got our concatenated array, and it's that simple in programming also. So let's have a look at how we can join two different arrays into a single original array. So now we are going to perform the implementation of joining two arrays. So for that we require two arrays. So let's define the first variable which will store the first array. So let's say the first array will be an array of integers which will contain 5 elements. And similarly we will define another array which will be stored inside the variable arr2, which will store 5 elements. Now our task is to perform concatenation or joining these two arrays into a single one and store it in a new variable. So there are different ways through which we can perform this task. We will see some of them. So let's see the first way of joining two different arrays. So in Python, for joining two different arrays, we have a special operator which is concatenation operator, which is denoted by plus symbol. So we can simply write array1 plus array2 and store it in a variable arr. After printing the array, we can see that our array has got concatenated successfully. Now this was the first way. Now let's see another way of concatenating or joining two different arrays into a single one. So let's see the way 2. So the second way is to loop through another array, which is nothing but the second array, and once you store each element inside a dynamic variable, you need to append it into the original array one by one. So for that we are going to use a for loop. So for I in array2, that means we are going to loop through the second array, and we are going to store each element dynamically in the variable I, and that we are going to store the variable I inside the first array by using the append function, which is an inbuilt function inside Python list. So array1 dot append I will append or insert the element inside the array at the last position. So after printing the arr1, we can see that the array2 has now got successfully concatenated with array1. Now let's see the third way through which we can append the second array into the first array. So here we have two arrays, and we are now going to use an inbuilt functionality of Python through which we can concatenate two arrays into single one. The name of the inbuilt function is extend. Yes, so this extend function is present inside the variable in which you store the array. So you need to write simply the array dot extend, and the extend function will take the parameter of the array which you need to concatenate with the first array. So after executing the cell, we can print array1, and you can see that the array1 has now got successfully concatenated with the array2 and get stored into the variable array1 itself. So to summarize, we have seen three different ways through which we can concatenate two different arrays. So the first way was to use the plus operator, the second way was to use the looping statements and using the append function, and the third way was to use the inbuilt extend function. For more such videos, like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.